In a previous lesson that I recorded regarding Salt-N-Pepa and their copyright reversion issue, I mentioned that Two Live Crew had a whole different outcome. Why? Listen to this first.
Luke Campbell, known as Uncle Luke, is celebrating his win in Miami federal court that awarded him the copyright to his music when U.S. copyright law allowed ownership of work to revert back to its creator after 35 years.
And now, when folks call to sample the music, and the right people will be able to profit from it. Look at Chris and Mark kids, and I look at my son, this is their parents' work. It's bigger than us. It's more about them kids.
The ownership attorney has entered the chat. In the Two Live Crew case against Little Joe Records, Two Live Crew and the heirs of their deceased group members, they moved to reclaim their music rights under Section 203 of the Copyright Act after 35 years, which I explained what all of that meant in the Salt-N-Pepa's lesson. So the defense for a 203 relies on one argument, that the recordings were works made for hire, which would strip the author or artist of any termination rights entirely. To prove that the work is a work for hire, the label or whoever's trying to claim it, but in this case, the label had to show one of two options: that there's a written agreement that exists classifying the work was done under a specially commissioned category that's approved under the copyright law, or prove that an employer-employee relationship exists. That's why the work is a work for hire, if no commission contract qualifies. In this case, there was no qualifying written agreement that established a commissioned work for hire. So that leaves the employer-employee defense. Well, earlier in the litigation, the record label already established that there was no employer-employee relationship. They argue it didn't exist. That status wasn't there for other reasons. So that previous omission sealed it for Two Live Crew. Since the label couldn't prove a commissioned work for hire existed, there's no employer-employee relationship, then there's still rights. So the jury sided with Two Live Crew, and their 203 rights remain intact. Uncle Luke and the heirs of the deceased group members are now collecting on the work that they created decades ago. So that's totally different outcome than the Salt-N-Pepa situation, where the judge found that it was a work for hire. So there's one lesson, one difference: keeping your rights or giving them up through a work for hire. There are times when a work for hire makes sense, and there are times when it just absolutely doesn't. Look for counsel who sees the whole board, not just the next move. This is why I'm the ownership attorney.